Hey friends, and welcome back to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking, where we blend calm stories with beautiful English learning. Tonight's story is called The Smell of Toast on a Quiet Winter Morning. It's soft, slow, and full of tiny, still details. Not much happens, and yet everything does. We're simply waking up, walking barefoot to the kitchen, and making toast. But in these quiet moments, memories rise like steam, and language slips gently into your thoughts like the warmth of a blanket. If you enjoy learning English through slow, immersive stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, or share the podcast, only if it feels right to you.
Now get cozy, maybe light a candle or pour some tea, and let's begin.
Morning light through the window. It's still early when you wake up. The sky is that soft, slow gray that comes before real daylight. The edges of the room are quiet shadows. The window, a rectangle of gentle light, glows against the cold wall. You don't open your eyes fully. You don't need to. You already know it's winter. You can feel it. Your breath is warm against the air, but the tip of your nose is cold. You tug the blanket a little higher and stay still, listening. There's no traffic yet, no voices. Just the soft hum of the heater and the distant rustle of branches outside. You imagine snow. Even if it hasn't fallen, it feels like the kind of morning that could hold snow in its hands, quietly. Eventually, you sit up. The blanket falls away, and your shoulders shiver a little in the air. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, and the wooden floor greets your feet with a cold, gentle surprise. You stand slowly, stretching, and walk toward the window. The glass is fogged in one corner. You press your palm against it, and the heat from your skin makes a tiny circle in the mist. Outside, the trees are still. A bird hops along the fence. The world is holding its breath. You remember these kinds of mornings from childhood, when school was canceled for snow, when toast popped up just as the radio said your town's name, when the house smelled like coffee and bread, and your socks never matched. It's been years since then, but somehow this morning feels the same. You turn from the window and pad quietly across the room. The floor creaks beneath your steps, but the sound is soft, sleepy. You pass the mirror and catch a glimpse of yourself. Hair messy, eyes slow, a little sleepy smile. You keep walking. In the kitchen, the cold tiles surprise you again. You move quickly, stepping on tiptoe toward the cabinet. A clean mug waits. You choose the one with the tiny chip on the rim, the one you always use. You fill the kettle and listen to it heat up, a low whisper growing warmer. The toaster sits quietly on the counter, silver and old. You reach for the bread and slide 2 slices in. The lever clicks down, and there it is, that smell, the smell of toast on a quiet winter morning. It's not just the bread. It's something more, something warm and simple and deep in your memory. It smells like comfort, like slow mornings with nothing to do, like someone humming in the next room, like being loved. You close your eyes and breathe it in. The kettle begins to rumble softly. You pour the hot water over a waiting tea bag and wrap your hands around the mug. The heat slips into your fingers. You lean against the counter, cup in hand, watching the window as the light grows stronger. The toast hasn't popped yet. You don't rush it. You just breathe. The world outside begins to wake up, but not in a loud way. A neighbor scrapes a sidewalk. A dog barks once softly. The trees sway a little in the breeze. The steam from your tea curls slowly in the air like a question with no need for an answer. In this moment, there's nothing you need to do. No emails, no schedules, no alarms. Just you, the scent of toast, and the hush of winter. You don't speak. But in your mind, words rise. Simple ones. Warm. Still. Gentle. They float through your thoughts like snowflakes, each one landing softly and melting before it can be examined too closely. You sip your tea. The mug hums against your lips. And just then, the toast pops up. Golden brown, a little uneven, exactly right. You smile, and the day begins. The cold floor, beneath your feet. You carry your tea to the table, one careful step at a time. The mug is warm, and your hands cradle it as if it might drift away. You don't turn on the lights. You don't need them. The slow blue morning light is enough. Just enough to see the shape of the chair, the curve of steam rising from the cup. The chair makes a soft sound as you pull it out. You sit down. The cold from the tile floor creeps gently up your legs. You tuck one foot under the other and let the other rest flat, grounding you. There's something honest about the cold. It doesn't lie or hide. It just is. A small part of the morning's truth. The toast sits quietly on the plate beside you. You haven't touched it yet. There's no hurry. Instead, you sip. The tea tastes earthy and soft. Maybe it's chamomile. Maybe it's green. You can't remember what you grabbed. And somehow, that makes it better. You didn't plan this moment. It just happened. You glance around the kitchen. The fridge hums faintly. A single spoon sits in the sink. The clock on the oven flashes softly. Wrong again, always wrong, since the last power cut. A calendar on the wall still says December, though it's January now. You'll change it later. Maybe. The bread was the last of the loaf. You'd meant to go to the store yesterday, but you didn't. You stayed in. Read a book. Watch the sky change colors. Let the day be quiet. Now, as you look at that single piece of toast, you think, maybe that was the right choice. You take a bite. It's still warm. Crispy at the edges, soft in the middle. A little dry, but good. Good in the way only toast can be. Simple, complete. Just enough. You chew slowly. Outside the window, a small bird flutters by and lands on the sill. It tilts its head, peeks inside, then hops away. You smile again. No reason. Just the kind of smile that happens when you feel something soft pressing gently on your heart. You remember another morning like this. Different kitchen, different year. You were younger. Maybe a teenager. Maybe 20. The toast was burnt that day. You had cried, not because of the toast, but because of something else you couldn't explain. Someone had made you tea. You'd sat quietly. You remember the chipped mug, the cold floor, the silence between two people. You hadn't spoken. You didn't need to. The silence had done the talking. That memory lingers now like the steam from your cup. You look at the table. You notice the small marks on its surface, scratches from keys, stains from coffee, a corner that wobbles if you lean too hard. It's not perfect, but it's yours. This morning is yours. You run your fingers across the grain of the wood. The toast is half eaten now. You press your thumb into the corner of the slice and feel the texture. Rough, toasted, familiar. You lift it again and take another bite. The kettle clicks softly as it cools. A radiator sighs in the next room. The day continues. Slowly, without your help. Your mind drifts. Not far. Just enough to wander. You think of other mornings, Other kitchens. Other windows filled with soft light. Some of them you can still picture clearly. Others are only shadows now, half remembered and a little blurred. But this one, this morning, this is real. You take another sip. Slower now. The tea has cooled just a little. The steam rises slower. The bird doesn't come back. But you still glance at the window from time to time, just in case. Some mornings feel like a page turning in a book. Quiet. Meaningful. Maybe even sacred. Not because of what happens, but because of what doesn't. There's no noise, no rush, no pressure to speak. Just breath, and toast, and light. You rest your elbows on the table and hold your mug between your palms. You close your eyes for a moment, just to listen.
To the silence, to the heater, to your breath, to yourself.
In this quiet kitchen, the world narrows in the best way. There's no phone, no clock that works, no to-do list on the fridge. Just this bite of toast, this cup of tea, this peaceful, unhurried beginning. And when the last bite is gone, you set the plate aside gently. The mug is still half full. You stay where you are, because sometimes, before the day begins, you need to sit still. To notice how the cold floor meets your feet. To breathe the toast-scented air. To let a single morning remind you of the kind of person you are when nobody is watching. And that's enough. The old toaster clicks on. It's almost automatic now. The way your hand moves toward the cupboard. The way you know exactly where the bread sits. Even without looking. There's no thinking. Just soft movement. Like muscle memory. Like a quiet rhythm your body remembers better than your mind. 2 slices of bread. The last 2. One is slightly smaller than the other, its edges uneven, like it was cut in a hurry. You smile at that. Imperfect things are often the most loved. You slide both into the old toaster. It doesn't beep. It doesn't have a screen or buttons or fancy settings. Just a single lever and a dial that you never adjust. You don't need to. It always toasts the bread just a little uneven. One side darker than the other. But always just right. Your fingers press the lever down, and it clicks into place with that familiar little sound. You don't step away. Instead, you stay there, standing, watching. There's nothing to see, really. The toaster hums quietly, warming from the inside. You can't see the coils, but you imagine them glowing red, slow and steady. The air starts to shift, just a little at first, and then it happens. The smell begins to rise. It's faint, gentle, almost shy. At first it smells like nothing, just heat. But then the scent deepens, darkens slightly, turns golden and warm. It moves through the kitchen, curling through the air, soft as a sigh. You close your eyes, and there it is. Toast. Not just any toast, this toast. This exact, quiet morning toast. In this room, with this cold floor and this slow light. It smells of memory. It smells of every winter morning that ever mattered. It smells like your grandfather's kitchen. Like mornings before school. Like Sundays when no one had to rush. It smells like the radio playing softly and slippers on the stairs. You hold your mug a little tighter. You don't need jam. You don't need butter. Just the toast. Plain. Simple. The scent alone is a kind of nourishment. A kind of poem. The toaster ticks, just once. You glance at it, still working. Still holding the bread inside its warm metal hands. You think of the word toasted. How soft it sounds. How warm. It's not a sharp word. It doesn't shout. It glows. You smile to yourself. Language does that sometimes. Some words feel the way tea tastes, the way toast smells, the way morning light rests on your skin. Your eyes drift to the window. The light is growing brighter now, but still soft. It touches the tops of the trees. You can see the frost on the neighbor's roof sparkling faintly. And then, the toast pops up. Not with a loud bang, just a little bounce. A soft, hopeful spring into the air as if the bread is waking up too. You reach for it gently. The edges are warm against your fingertips. The slices are uneven, just as expected. You place them on the plate, one slightly overlapping the other. Steam rises faintly from their surface. You don't eat it right away. You bring the plate back to the table, beside your mug, and sit down again. The toast waits for you. Patient. Unassuming. A little golden gift for this small, sacred hour. You take the first bite. Crunch. Soft. A little warmth against your tongue. The flavor isn't complex. It doesn't need to be. It's comforting in its simplicity. You chew slowly. You close your eyes. For a moment, everything is quiet. No thoughts, no plans, just toast. It's strange how something so ordinary can feel so holy. Bread, heat, time, that's all. And yet, something about this makes you want to stay longer, to speak less, to notice more. You sip your tea between bites. The two tastes, bitter and warm, dry and toasty, meet in your mouth, like old friends. Familiar? Kind. You think of all the places you've eaten toast, hotels, cafes, airports, friends' kitchens, and yet, this might be your favorite, because this one is just for you. No one is watching. No one is waiting. You eat slowly, reverently. The toast disappears one bite at a time, and each bite feels like a breath, like a word in a quiet sentence, like a page in a slow, peaceful book. By the time you finish, the plate is almost empty. A few crumbs, nothing more. But somehow you feel full, not just in your stomach, but in your chest, in your thoughts, in some part of you that doesn't have a name. You breathe in again. That last bit of the smell still lingers, warm in the air. And for just a moment longer, you let yourself stay here, in this room, with the old toaster, with the warm plate, with the morning that asks nothing of you, except to be still. A mug between your hands. You wrap your hands around the mug again. It's still warm. Less than before, but enough. The ceramic presses gently into your skin. Familiar and solid. You hold it not to drink, but to feel. You look down into the tea. The surface has stopped steaming, but there's still a quiet depth to it. The color is soft, somewhere between amber and gold. You tilt the cup slightly, and the light ripples inside it like melted morning. You bring it to your lips and take a slow sip. The taste is calmer now, less sharp. A little cooler, yes, but smoother too. Like the tea has settled into itself, like it's become what it was always meant to be. You take another sip and let it rest in your mouth for a moment longer this time. Then you swallow and breathe. The warmth doesn't rush in anymore. It lingers, like a conversation you're not ready to end. Your fingers tighten slightly around the cup. The window is brighter now. The day is unfolding quietly. You can hear distant footsteps outside. Someone walking their dog, maybe. A car hums down the street, soft tires rolling over wet asphalt. But the kitchen stays still. This room, this simple, cold-floored room, feels like a world. You sit with your back straight, your shoulders low, not tense, not slouched, just settled, You stare out at the trees, the rooftops, the sky. The mug warms your palms as the tea warms your chest. You think of all the mugs you've held in your life. There was one with a red heart on it, chipped at the base, that belonged to someone you once loved. You drank coffee from it after long walks in the snow. You held it in both hands, just like this, hoping it would tell you what to say. There was another with stars along the rim. You bought it in a small shop near the sea. You remember the smell of salt and sunlight. You drank mint tea in the evenings, sitting by the window with the door open to the breeze. Now there's this one, white with a tiny crack along the handle. You've had it for years. It has no story written on it, but it holds every quiet morning like this one. Every day you chose stillness. Every time you reached for calm instead of noise. You take another sip. The toast is gone now. Just crumbs remain. You don't brush them away. You leave them on the plate like little echoes. You rest your elbow on the table and touch your face, fingers running lightly along your cheek. The skin is cool. Your body feels slow and spacious, as if you've stretched from the inside, as if you've stepped into your own breath. You close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep, just to pause. The world doesn't need you yet. There are no doors to answer, no messages to return. You are not needed in this moment, and that is a gift. You remember something someone once said to you. The best mornings ask for nothing. You didn't understand it then. But now, sitting here with an empty plate and a warm cup, you feel it in your bones. This moment asks for nothing. And yet, it gives so much. You tilt your head back and stretch just slightly. The chair creaks beneath you, a gentle sound, like wood breathing. The clock on the oven blinks again. Wrong, still wrong. You could fix it. You could get up, press the buttons, reset the time. But you don't. You let it be. Because right now, you're not measuring time. You're living inside it. And somehow that's better. The mug grows cooler in your hands. Slowly. You feel the warmth fading. But you hold it anyway. Sometimes we hold things not because we need them, but because they hold us. The radiator clicks on again. The sound is soft, like a distant whisper. You imagine the pipes beneath the floor stretching, warming, carrying quiet heat through the house like a secret gift. You lift the mug again, one last sip. It's nearly gone. You tilt the cup and watch the liquid move, then disappear. You set it down gently. No sound, no clatter. Just the quiet weight of something complete. You sit still for a little longer. The morning is fully awake now, but you're not rushing to join it. You've made toast. You've had tea. You've sat in the stillness and let the world unfold without chasing it. And that for now is enough. A thought from years ago. You push the plate away slightly. Not far. Just enough to clear a space. The crumbs stay where they are, scattered like fallen stars across the wood. You don't wipe them up. You let them be. Your hands rest quietly in your lap now. The cup is empty. The toast is gone. But something else rises in the silence. Something slower than memory, and softer than thought. You're not in this kitchen anymore. You're somewhere else. Another winter. Another small table. Another morning. You don't remember the exact year, but you remember how it felt. The sound of a different toaster. The smell of butter. A scarf still around your neck because the room was cold. Someone across the table. Laughing. Or maybe humming. Or maybe just being there. You don't remember their face. Not clearly. Just the way they made the room feel warmer. Safer. Like you didn't need to speak to be heard. It was snowing outside, that much you know. The kind of snow that falls in flakes so big you can almost catch them on your tongue. The kind that piles on rooftops like whipped cream on cocoa. The kind that makes you want to be quiet. That morning, the toast had cinnamon on it. You remember the taste. You remember how it stuck to your fingers, how your tongue tingled, how you smiled without meaning to. And the mug. It was chipped too, just like the one in your hand earlier. A little crack near the lip. You drank carefully, slowly, as if the mug might break with too much pressure, as if silence itself could shatter. You blink and you're back. This kitchen, this morning, these crumbs. The memory lingers, but like steam, it begins to fade. You can't hold it, not completely, but part of it stays, that feeling. You rise slowly and walk to the sink. The cup and plate sit in your hands like old books. You rinse them under warm water. The sound is quiet, round. You don't use soap yet. Just your fingers, tracing circles along the ceramic. You place them gently on the drying rack. A single droplet rolls down the side of the cup, then stops at the edge, and waits. You return to the table, but you don't sit. You stand for a moment, letting the room settle again. Your arms are at your sides. Your breath is light. A feeling follows you. Not sadness, not exactly. More like softness. A kind of ache, but not the kind that hurts. You look at the chair across from where you'd been sitting. Empty, of course. But for a second, just a second, you imagine someone there. You imagine the shape of their shoulders, the tilt of their head. You imagine them holding a piece of toast, smiling just a little. You don't know who they are, but your heart does, and that's enough. You run your fingers along the edge of the table. It's smooth in some places, rough in others. You feel the tiny grooves worn by time and touch. You press your palm flat against the surface and breathe in. Toast, tea, wood, winter, a language of its own. You move to the window again. The outside world is brighter now, but the sky is still pale, still gentle. A few clouds pass slowly, like thoughts that don't need to be solved. The frost on the roof is beginning to melt. A drop falls from a branch, and you, standing there full of warmth and memory, feel something shift. You're not sure what it is, but it feels like peace. A quiet kind. The kind that doesn't ask questions. The kind that doesn't chase answers. The kind that simply stands with you and listens. The kind that smells like toast on a winter morning. You turn from the window and reach for the light switch. But you don't flip it. You lower your hand. You let the natural light stay just as it is. Some mornings don't need to be brighter. Some mornings are perfect in shadow and gold. And as you walk slowly to the other room, your steps soft against the floor, you carry the memory with you. Not just the one from years ago, but the one you just lived. The one that happened in real time. This morning, this breath, this gentle, ordinary joy. You don't look back at the kitchen. You don't need to. You can still feel it in your hands. The language of mornings. Later in the day, when everything moves a little faster, when clocks begin ticking louder, and the world starts calling your name, you will think back to this morning. And when you do, you might not remember the toast exactly, or how many sips of tea you took. But you'll remember how it felt to wake slowly, to walk barefoot across the cold floor, and to hold something warm between your hands. You'll remember the silence, and how full it was. You might also remember the words that floated gently through your thoughts. Those soft, ordinary words that felt special in the quiet. Steam, crumbs, toaster, mug, still. You didn't study them. You didn't repeat them aloud. But you lived them. You felt them in your fingertips and tasted them in the tea. They were part of the moment, not outside of it. They belonged. And maybe you noticed how some words sound warmer than others. Toast is a word that feels like it belongs beside a blanket. Mornings is a word with open space in it. And quiet. Quiet doesn't need to whisper. It simply is. You might also notice, without trying to, the soft rhythm of the past. The way you said to yourself, I woke up slowly. I made some tea. I thought about an old memory. You weren't just telling a story. You were stepping through it. Each phrase carried you gently from one thought to the next. I took a bite of toast. There was a bird on the windowsill. I held the cup in both hands. These aren't just sentences. They are footsteps, little snow prints on the floor of your morning. And maybe now, thinking back, you hear the way certain structures guided your story. There was a sound in the hallway. There was a feeling I couldn't name. You didn't need to say much more. That was enough. It opened a space. Invited the listener to feel what you felt. Without pushing. Or maybe you found yourself using used to. Not loudly, not as a lesson, but as a breath. I used to have a mug like this. I used to sit by the window in the old house and watch the sky change. The phrase holds time. It holds memory. It opens the door between what was and what is. That's what language does when you let it slow down. It stops being a tool and becomes a place. A room. A soft chair beside a window. When you speak gently, when you think in pictures, when you feel the words more than chase them, they begin to settle in you. Like toast settling on a plate. Like steam rising and disappearing into the air. Maybe you didn't say the word reflect, but you did it. Maybe you didn't name the feeling as bittersweet, but you knew it. Maybe you never said nostalgia, but it sat with you, quietly, in the chair across the table. That's how you learn. That's how English becomes part of your mornings, your memory, your movement. You live it first, you breathe it in, and later, when the day is louder, those same words might come back to you. Not as flashcards, but as warmth, as rhythm, as quiet understanding. And you will know them, because they were part of you long before you tried to remember them. Patterns in the steam and the grammar. You sit again. Later now. Perhaps in a different chair, or even in a different room. Maybe the mug is filled once more. Maybe not with tea this time, but water or coffee. The day has begun to stretch. It pulls gently at the edges of your stillness. And yet, part of the quiet morning remains inside you, like the last curl of steam that takes its time to disappear. You think of the words you used without thinking, the shapes of them, the patterns they followed. You didn't plan it, but the story walked in gentle steps. You said, I woke up. Then I stood by the window, and I made some tea. These are past simple moments. Small, complete memories that formed the rhythm of your morning. Each one like a photograph, softly fading at the edges, framed by the way you said them. And maybe you noticed how they slipped into your mind, without needing to be named. Past simple is not a tense, it's a breath, a way to honor what's already past, even if it was only 10 minutes ago. Then came there was, a phrase you might not think about much, but it helped you place things in the room. A bird, a sound, a memory. There was toast, there was a pause, there was warmth. You never said it loudly. You didn't pause to explain it. You just lived in it. Let it guide your steps. And what about that other shape? I used to eat cinnamon toast in that old kitchen. I used to sit at a different table with someone else across from me. The phrase opens doors to long-closed mornings. It reminds you gently of the person you were, or maybe still are, somewhere deep down. You didn't use used to because you were trying to practice it. You used it because the moment asked for it. Because memory is a kind of grammar, too. The kitchen became a map of all these little forms. I had poured the water already. I had seen mornings like this before. And suddenly, you were standing inside the past perfect, without even needing to know its name. You were simply moving backward in time, just a step, to touch something that came before the toast, before the tea, before this morning even began. You weren't speaking for a teacher. You weren't trying to pass a test. You were remembering. And that's enough. Some of the words, mug, floor, crumbs, window, they aren't hard. You may have known them for years, but in this story, they felt different. More alive. More connected. Because they were part of a real breath. A real image. And some of the phrases, I held the cup in both hands. I stepped carefully across the floor. They brought language into your body, into your fingers, into your toes. They taught you without teaching you. Because sometimes the best way to learn isn't to study. It's to feel, to listen, to speak softly, even just in your mind. To wrap your thoughts in warm words and carry them like steam through a quiet room. The next time you find yourself in a kitchen or walking across a cold floor, you might hear one of those phrases again in your head. There was a smell I couldn't describe. I used to sit right here, with a blanket on my lap. And when you do, don't try to analyze it. Just let it be. Let it rise like steam. Let it melt like butter on toast. Let it drift in and out of your breath. That's what language does when it's part of your life. It wraps itself around your memory and warms you from the inside. A toast to this gentle moment. You sit once more. Maybe in a quiet corner. Maybe back at the same table. Though the light is different now. Warmer. Deeper. The kind of light that leans across the floor and rests on furniture like a tired cat. You look down at your hands. They are still. Soft. And you remember. The slice of toast, golden and quiet. The chipped mug full of steam and reflection. The soft creak of the floor beneath bare feet. The window, misted with breath. The silence, full of language you didn't need to name. You whisper a word to yourself, just one, maybe warmth, maybe stillness, maybe beginning. You say it gently, like lighting a small candle in a dark room. There is beauty in repetition. The way you said, I stood at the window. Then later, I used to stand there years ago. And finally, I'll stand there again someday. Each phrase a note in a song you didn't know you were singing. And the words that walked beside you? Steam, toaster, floor, sip, hold, pause, creak, press, breathe, rest. You don't need to memorize them. You've lived them now. They're part of your breath, your memory, your English. Let them sit inside you. Let them warm you, like tea cooling in your hands. And if one day you feel something shift in the room, the hush before sunrise, the smell of toast rising softly in the air, you might remember a phrase. There was a quiet moment and I stood in it. Say it to yourself. Say it again if it feels good. Because when we say things gently, they stay longer. And now, as the day slowly unfolds, you don't have to let go of this story. You can carry it. Let it walk with you into emails, traffic, meetings, grocery stores. Let it soften the sharp edges of noise. Let it be your calm. And maybe, if you feel inspired, pick up a pen. Write one line, one moment, one feeling from today's story, not to be perfect, just to be yours. Even just, I made toast, and it felt like peace. That is more than enough. Thank you for spending this quiet time with me. If you enjoyed this story, I'd love if you followed or shared it with someone else who's learning English. It helps this gentle little podcast reach more people. Until next time, keep warm, keep still, and remember, sometimes the smallest mornings stay with us the longest.